The words, "fuck you," were etched into the plexiglass windows as I walked into the room for the first time. See, I wasn't supposed to be there. I was that good kid, the one who was in church 3 times a week, the one who was a 3.5 GPA student and in the National Honor Society, the captain of the Quiz Bowl team, the band nerd. That was who I was, and yet 2 weeks prior to this moment, I self-harmed for the first time. And so I was caught. I told one of my friends who was like a second mother to me, and she told me, "I'm telling your parents, I'm calling right now." And because this was, in the days of the landline, I said, "You call right now, I'm gonna pick up the phone and hang it up." And she said, "Okay, I know your dad's a farmer, which means he'll be in at lunch tomorrow. And I'm gonna call then, and I'm gonna tell him." And I realized that I was stuck, and that I had to tell my parents. So I told my mom that night and showed her one of my cuts. She called the family doctor at home at 9 p.m. on I think it was a Wednesday night, sometime during the week, and he suggested they take me to the hospital in Quincy, Illinois. And so the next day, I went to the hospital and was escorted by security up the secured elevator behind 2 locked doors and into this room in the psychiatric ward. That was the moment that I knew my life was going to change forever. And so I stayed there for a week, and during that time, one of the other kids on the ward with me told one of the nurses that he wanted to kill me because all I did was sleep and read all the time. And I overheard the nurses at the nurse station saying that she can't be here because she's actually ill. I think she just is doing research for a paper. And so I was there for a week and a half, I don't remember. But I went home, and I think I slept for the next 6 months. The second half of my senior year is a blur, and honestly, the next 7 years of my life, I can't make sense of. It's flashes of memories in and out that I don't understand from where I am today. I remember drooling on my cousin's leg because I was taking my medication and it caused excess salivation. I was pulled over by the highway patrol for drunk driving because I was taking my medication as prescribed, and the side effects made me exhausted all of the time. During those 7 years, I was in and out of the psychiatric ward 7 times. I lost myself to this illness that I claimed as my own, and that was my identity, and that was who I was, and that was my future, and that was where I was going. When I was around 19, 20, my therapist told my parents that my future would be on disability, in a group home, and maybe I could handle a part-time job. That was my trajectory. That was where I was going. And I embraced it. I said, this is who I am. There was a time when I was at college at Culver Stockton in Canton, Missouri, and I was driving home from Quincy, and I just knew there was someone behind me. Someone was following me in their car, and they had guns, and they wanted to get me, and it was terrifying, and it was the worst thing, and so I hid under my bed in my dorm room. And that's where my best friend found me. And she called the counselor, and I was taken to the hospital in Quincy, Illinois, yet again. And after that, I dropped out because my grades were terrible, because depression. And I moved back home, and I gave up. I applied for disability and got denied, because most people do get denied the first time. And I quit. But somewhere around there, something changed. My dad would wake me up in the mornings to go help him build fence to move cattle from pasture to pasture to pasture. And somewhere in those fields in rural northeast Missouri, I found hope again. And I decided that I was going to do something. Just anything. I was going to do something. And so I got a job making pizza at Casey's, gas station pizza. What else do you do in Shelbyville, Missouri? And I applied to Mizzou, and I got accepted, and I came to Columbia. I was around 19 years old the first time that I realized that maybe I was attracted to women. She was beautiful. And all I wanted to do was just hold her in my arms and love her that night, and just hold her. It was entirely innocent, but I ran, and I panicked, and I ran so deep in the closet, I think maybe I found Narnia, I'm not sure. And so I hid. I hid and I lied and I hated myself for it, because I believed that I was wrong, that this core part of my being was wrong. And so 2 or 3 years later, I came to Mizzou, and you know what? There are gay people here. Like, happy, healthy, well-adjusted, living a beautiful life, gay people, holding hands, walking down the street in downtown Columbia. And I realized that maybe I have to do something about this. Maybe I have to stop running from this and address it. And so, I started to come out. I emailed one of my professors and said, let's get coffee. And she was like, sure. And so, panicking and anxiety provoked the whole time, I said, I think I'm gay. And she said, I know. And that was the moment that I realized maybe I could do this. Maybe I can come out. And so I told my friends, I told my family, I told my church. I lost friends. My older sister and I still don't have communication. And I was excommunicated from my church. It was one of the hardest times in my life. The fall after I started coming out, I put myself in the hospital again, this time because I knew I was going to hurt myself if I stayed at home. I knew that was going to happen. I could feel it happening in my brain. That was the last time I was inpatient. It's been 9 years since I was in the hospital the last time for self-harm or for anything. And so the question that I am perpetually trying to answer is, how did I get from there to where I am today? I'm married, I have a 6-month-old daughter, I work a full-time job and busted out on the side, advocating and educating for the LGBT community, speaking any chance I get. And I'm functional. I work in this society and do so well. And it is this foreign concept to me sometimes because I am thriving and not simply surviving for the first time in my life. And how I got here is because I made choices. I chose to find some hope. I chose to get a job. I chose to come to Columbia. I chose to come out. And we all have things we need to come out about. I don't want to take this phrase from the LGBT community and co-opt it because it is a very intrinsic, very important part of the LGBT journey. But everybody has something that they need to come out about. Everybody has that part of themselves that they are hiding from and denying and lying about, and it can be something incredibly small. It's not tremendously different to say, hello, my name is Mason Aid, my gender identity is queer, my sexual orientation is queer, I use they, their, them pronouns. I could also say, hello, my name is Mason Aid, my favorite band is a Christian ska band from the late 90s. I'm really cool, I promise. And I came out, and we all have things we need to come out about. We all have those lies that we are living, and we all have choices that we need to make. Because we have more agency in this world than we think we do. Because I'm standing here before you because I made a decision to come out. I made a decision to learn to love who I am and to embrace who I am and to live a full and authentic life. I choose every day to take my medication. I choose every day to go to therapy. I choose every day to go to work, which has not always been an easy thing for me to decide. I chose to come out. I choose every day to live authentically and to thrive instead of simply surviving. And we all have little choices we can make. It's been 7 years since I hurt myself, but there are still days when I am stressed out, everything is terrible, I'm maxed, it's super hard, and that's where my brain goes. That's just immediately where my brain goes, is this desire to get rid of the anger and to get rid of the hurt, and I learned that this was a way that helped me. I still have to make that decision not to hurt myself. And I do. It's easier now. It's way easier now than it was before. But it took a daily decision. I'm going to go 1 day without hurting myself. I'm going to go 1 week without hurting myself. I'm going to go 1 month without hurting myself. I'm going to go 2 months. I'm going to go 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 7 years without hurting myself. We all have decisions that we need to make. We all have choices, and we have agency over those choices. So what decisions do you need to make? Where do you need to come out? What do you need to do to live authentically and stop hiding from who you are? Because we need to embrace who we are, because who we are is beautiful and powerful and strong and awesome. So be awesome. Thank you.